Imagine you are going through a time tunnel back to the mid-18th century. You and the residents of Vienna were heading to this Burg Theater on one beautiful evening, October 29, 1787, to watch Mozart's opera The Marriage of Figaro. And on another occasion, you came again to this theater on January 26, 1790, to watch a different opera of Mozart, KV.310. And the following year, you heard that Mozart just wrote a new opera, The Spectacular Magic Flute. It would be one of the largest excitements in the city, and you would not want to miss the date, September 30, 1791. So here you were, joining the ecstatic crowd for the show. Now let us be reminded, there were no movie theaters like today. I remember what an ecstatic crowd in 2019 queuing for tickets to watch Avengers The Endgame. Perhaps the similar enthusiasms. I hope this illustration gives us the awareness of how important the role of the opera was back then. It was a way of life for the social gathering. Just like the nowadays amazing film scorers, names like multi-award winners John Williams with his Star Wars, E.T., Superman, Home Alone, Indiana Jones, Schindler's List, Harry Potter, or Hans Zimmer with his Lion King, The Last Samurai, Pirates of the Caribbean, and many other movies. Back then, Mozart was the genius music scorer for opera. Mozart was able to bring the story to life, amplify its drama, and drive the crowds wild. Just like when you hear the name John Williams and Hans Zimmer, you know that you will not be disappointed. And the same with the crowd when they heard the name Mozart. They could expect a great opera. There is a number in an opera in which a singer displays his or her utmost musicianship that captivate the audience. That number is the aria. In an opera, it is in the aria that the crowd is waiting to hear the superior artistry of a singer. Pianists could learn so much from opera singers, not only how to sing the second movements of Mozart sonatas, but also to bring them to life. I had the privilege for many years at Indiana University Bloomington, accompanying so many great singers. I played for many opera auditions there, and I was always mesmerized by the freedom these singers have. I compared their freedom at singing and my own freedom at piano playing. I must say, consciously or unconsciously, I have learned a lot from these great singers that I was accompanying for, and I'm always grateful for that opportunity and privilege. That was what made me the pianist I am today, and that is also the focus of this lecture. Before we continue further, let me touch these prerequisites for acquiring the desired freedom. We need to internalize the pulses and the rhythms so well that we can execute them keenly and freely. If the pulses are not strongly internalized, there is a possibility of playing any second movement statically. The mind is occupied by trying to keep steady pulses, or worse in my opinion, trying to be free but abandoning the steady pulses. Bear it in mind that steady pulses are a must, but static pulses are a must not. Let me illustrate the comparisons of static pulses versus steady pulses this way. Static pulses are like the speed of a car on a cruise control on an empty highway that easily could make us sleepy. Steady pulses, on the other hand, are like the speed of a manual driving. At times a bit slowing down, other times a bit faster, but on a steady, comfortable pace for the passengers. As a matter of fact, artistry is about how we control this timing or pacing in a storytelling that will effectively promote the intended drama in the music. Mozart's second movements of his sonatas are like storytelling arias in his operas. In order for the music not to be static, we will talk about music gesture. And this is why learning from the opera singers will prove to be very beneficial, because they have no other options than to bring the music to life. Big opera companies often come down to my school, and I used to play for my singer friends who were auditioning. Beautiful voice, high level of musicianship, and competencies are never enough. They must be able to convince these companies that magic must prevail on the stage above talents and skills. Magic happens when they could bring the words in music to come to life. Here we have a sample aria from one of Mozart's very famous and most performed operas, The Marriage of Figaro. And I have the privilege of my very good friend, Delima Simamora, to sing this aria of Susanna, a love song. De Vieni non tardar, which means "Oh come, don't delay." Listen beyond just the beautiful music. Listen to how Susanna, disguised as the Countess, was impatient to meet her beloved. Listen how the music conveys the emotion. The melody is just a broken F major triad cleverly arranged to carry the impatient feeling. Ah, come, don't delay. Notice also the pizzicato accompaniment expressing the shy gesture. And now how she is whispering her deep longing, come where love calls thee to joy, in this up and down melodic line, like an emotional roller coaster. And now how Susanna is urging her lover to come before dawn breaks, while the two lovers will own the night just for themselves. Observe how Mozart wrote the melody to go down to the low registers for a soprano. What a tone painting of the night sky. Now the arpeggiated C major triad moving upward to convey both the murmuring stream and the murmuring heart. Peaceful, beautiful, but at the same time it expresses the restless soul. In this passage, moving a tempo a little bit faster may help to add the liveliness of the atmosphere. And here Susanna speaks of the smiling flowers, just like how her heart is now. Love is blossoming and how the music is also becoming more wavy and decorated. Last example, here Susanna tormentedly whispers, come my dearest. Notice the accompaniment now turns to a series of slurs, like a begging, urging, please. Truly a genius. Highly imaginative music painting of different emotions. And if we miss to see these things, we miss a great deal of treasures in Mozart's music. Now let us hear this complete aria to get a stronger taste of how descriptive Mozart's music is in his arias that we may adopt into the second movement of his piano sonatas. And now let us return to Mozart's Piano Sonata K310, and here is its aria-like second movement, just like many other second movements of his piano sonatas. Unlike the aria with a concrete storyline, not a single text given here to accompany the music. Pianists must put together elements of music, such as the harmonic progressions, the rising and falling of the melodic contour, different rhythmic patterns, textural density, high, medium, or low registers, etc., to construct a quasi-storyline. Let's take the opening of this second movement. How to bring this opening phrase to life? It is a very simple F major arpeggiated triad, but challenging to get the intended musical gestures that will bring this opening to life. To me, I would imagine how an opera singer would sing this opening. There are many academic matters such as how much time we will give between the articulation slurs, or what the pedaling should be, or deciding about the tempo, how andante is an andante. Our imaginations and artistic taste will blend all of these musical matters that will bring this simple opening to life. Let me illustrate the music gestures here. It is like the gesture of a blossoming flower. This phrase may portray a joyful, flowery heart. The music gesture here is simple, rising up and immediately falling down. The musical idea is simple, yet bringing it to life is not that simple. Such a classic challenge. I did try many times until I was clear with how I would like this phrase to sound like, and until I knew how to do that consistently. It is the combinations of many musical elements. Steady semiquaver pulses to start with, then freedom of timing above these steady pulses. Dynamic shaping with strong directions heading to the highest note, articulations, pedaling, but finally, forget all these musical elements. Just give breath of life to this opening by the power of our imaginations. A clear idea of what to say musically here significantly helped to bring this simple phrase to life. Imagine what message a singer will deliver here. After conquering the opening, let's see what comes next. After the blossoming opening, is it to amplify or to contradict what comes next? We have a deceptive cadence here. What possibilities that we could do here with this deceptive cadence? To me, it makes more sense this deceptive cadence is to contradict the blossoming opening. If the opening is like receiving an exciting promise, this deceptive cadence is like a sudden surge of sorrow, remembering the same promise that had been broken before. Here we have the uprising gestures to high A, sounding an excitement, and next we have the falling gesture down to an octave lower A, sounding a disappointment. One last thing I would like to share is about syncopation. Let me give an illustration from this very popular song, We Are the World, written by Michael Jackson and Lionel Richie, back to the year of 1985 when I was a teenager and a high schooler. Feel the freedom of having the melody being not on the beats. Notice the rhythm on the blue arrows. They come early before the beats. Technically, we call them anticipations, which is commonly found both in popular and classical music. However, it comes more alive with popular singers than classical musicians. I think we should learn from popular singers as well. Let us not forget, in Mozart's time, his arias were so well known that they become popular music beside the traditional folk songs. Now let us go back to our second movement of Mozart's Piano Sonata K310. And here we are again, still in the opening, and there are plenty already to discover. This anticipation here is not without any impact to the music, and Mozart did not randomly write this offbeat anticipation. Anticipation means we come earlier than the beat. It could imply impatience or hesitations, or an urging desire. Now, the counterpart of anticipation is suspension. The intended note comes late, there, at the release. It is very crucial that we learn well music theory. Otherwise, here is an example. If we take it lightly, music theory study, we will miss the anticipation and suspensions here. And because of that, we miss to use these great communications tools. Suspensions could communicate the sense of burdensome, of having hard time to move on or to let go something. Let us hear this opening one last time. After understanding what lies beneath this opening phrase, we have more chance of bringing this passage to life. And this brings to the closing of my lecture. It will take many hours to give an extensive list of what amazing gems in this music, and that's not the purpose of this lecture. My goal is to inspire anyone who listens to this lecture to spend some time to observe, to investigate, until finally to discover many things. Go beyond mere musicality. Speak with your music, whatever your message is, especially in pieces like this second movement, which is closely related to a storytelling music. Bring the music to life for you first and hopefully for your audience. Learning music is like a treasure hunting, and I am wishing you all a fun and thrilling journey.